Next News, breaking news.
You can be arrested anywhere in the country. Think about that. A local Democrat official in Minneapolis believes she has the authority to order the arrest of federal law enforcement officers for enforcing laws passed by the United States Congress. It's not a policy disagreement. It's an open rebellion against federal authority, and it's happening while New York just got slammed with a $73 million funding cut for illegally issuing licenses to foreigners. The sanctuary cities want a war with the federal government? Well, Donald Trump is about to finish it. And here's what makes this crazy. I mean, this what it means for you and your family. When a county prosecutor can issue arrest warrants for federal agents doing their jobs, no federal law enforcement operation is safe in any blue city in America. Think about that. The FBI investigating cartel activity, local warrant. DEA taking down fentanyl dealers, local warrant. ICE removing a violent criminal and a criminal alien from your neighborhood, local warrant. It's not about immigration. It's about whether the federal government of the United States can actually enforce any federal law in states that don't feel like complying. Meanwhile, New York issuing 32,000 commercial driver's licenses to foreigners. 53% of those were issued illegally to people who shouldn't even have them. These aren't just license holders in Manhattan. These are truck drivers operating 18-wheelers on your highways, in your towns, driving past your kids' schools. Secretary Duffy said it himself, these drivers don't stay in New York, they travel across the country. And when New York was offered the chance to cooperate, they told the federal government to pound sand. So Trump's team pulled $73 million. And that is exactly what accountability looks like. And speaking of the federal government taking action to protect American interests, there is breaking news you need to hear about. It's happening right now. You see, the White House just announced over $30 billion to secure America's critical mineral supply chain. They named a specific Alaskan project as a key strategic asset for U.S. mineral independence. I've been to the Vizsla copper drilling site in Canada myself. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've held the core samples. And what's happening right now in Alaska, bigger than most people realize. President Trump just unveiled Project Vault. It's a $12 billion strategic minerals reserve designed to stockpile essential resources and keep America secure. When I stood at that Canadian site, I knew it was the future of American energy independence because it's going to happen in Alaska. Vizsla Copper is positioning itself at the center of this national security priority. You can find them trading in the United States under VCUFF. It's on your screen there. And in Canada as VCU.V. Check the exclusive briefing only for Next News viewers. It's linked below to see why this matters for both national security and your portfolio. And we thank Vizsla Copper for supporting this program. Now, back to the federal showdown that's exposing exactly how far Democrats will go to protect illegal aliens over American citizens. And the media is not going to tell you about the Minnesota situation, honestly. Prosecutor Mary Moriarty didn't just file charges, she held a press conference to brag about it. She stood in front of the cameras and announced that her warrants allow law enforcement to arrest this ICE agent anywhere in the country. She's not hiding what this is, she's advertising it. She wants other Democrat prosecutors to see this playbook, and she wants to set the precedent. And if the DOJ doesn't crush this immediately, every sanctuary city prosecutor in America is going to reach for that same pen. Now let's go to the Secretary Duffy talking about what happened in New York.
We've seen these crashes across the country where we have commercial drivers, truck drivers that are unskilled to be on American roads, and they're endangering American families, whether they go to Walmart or they go to church. And so we have taken a hard look at this. In New York alone, they have issued 32,000 licenses to foreigners. 53%, as you mentioned, of those licenses were illegally issued. And so that's dangerous for the American traveler. And these people don't just stay, these drivers don't just stay in New York, they travel across the country. And so the response from Kathy Hochul in New York was, listen, we didn't do anything wrong, we followed the rules. But the truth is, they actually gave commercial driver's licenses to people who are in the country illegally. And to your point, they'd give an 8-year license to someone who might only be legally in the country for another 3 or 4 months. And right. So this was actually brought up to Kathy Hochul in December. I don't want to pull money from New York. I want to work with New York. I want them to follow the rules in New York. They completely rejected our offer to cooperate. And so that's step one. We pulled $73 million. We pulled that today. And then looking forward, if they don't get into compliance, there's additional tranches of money we can pull. Nice. But in the end, we can pull their ability to actually even issue commercial driver's licenses. We're going to do all we can to keep the American traveler safe on American roads.
Yeah, baby. Oh, that's great. Now, Mary Moriarty issuing 2 warrants to arrest 2 ICE agents for assault, claiming they can be arrested anywhere in the country. Kim Katie USA writes she's going to start a civil war with these warrants. Minnesota really wants to go to war with the federal government under President Trump. Bring it, she says. The proper federal response needs to happen right now. The DOJ, under AGT Tactical, must immediately move to quash the unconstitutional warrants, open an investigation into Moriarty for obstruction of federal law enforcement, and make it clear that no state or local prosecutor gets to order the arrest of federal agents doing her job. And here she is at her press conference bragging about it.
Mary Moriarty. Today, our office has charged Gregory Donnell Morgan, an Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agent, with 2 counts of second-degree assault. There is now a warrant for Mr. Morgan's arrest, which allows law enforcement to arrest him anywhere in the country. Before I address the details of this case, I want to take a moment to talk about the timeline and why a charging decision was reached earlier in this case than in the shooting of Julio Sosa Solis and the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. I know the community is following the decisions of this office very closely, and I want to be transparent on why these situations are developing at different speeds. This case followed the typical investigation and submission process for cases coming to our office. The Minnesota State Patrol received a 911 call from the victims, who had a gun pointed at them by the driver of a vehicle who pulled up next to them illegally on the shoulder. The State Patrol was able to investigate thoroughly, identify Mr. Morgan, and conduct an interview with him at the Whipple building. After finalizing the investigative case file, the State Patrol submitted the case to our office for potential charges. Virtually none of the obstacles around evidence collection that exist for the January shootings exist in this case. On February 5th, Mr. Morgan was driving illegally on the shoulder of eastbound Highway 62, or the Crosstown, just past the Portland Avenue exit, appearing to attempt to bypass slower traffic. The victim who was driving briefly moved their vehicle into the shoulder to slow him down. Mr. Morgan was driving a rented SUV with no markings or other features to indicate that it was an ICE vehicle. After the victim's vehicle moved back into the legal lane, Mr. Morgan sped up to pull alongside the victim's vehicle. Mr. Morgan then visibly slowed his vehicle to match the pace of the victim's vehicle.
Okay, that's enough for you. Enough for you. Oh, she's ignited a firestorm, but now the focus shifts to federal authorities. Mullen has a clear message: border security non-negotiable.
We know that even if we were to fund ICE and CPP, which once again I don't understand, Joe, why they're not just talking about defunding ICE agents. Now they're wanting to defund the border, which means that these individuals, they don't want to deport anybody here illegally, and they want open borders. That's where the Democrats are at this point. So what we've said is, with the help of President Trump, is fine. We're going to take this off the table so you don't shut us down again September 30th. We're going to fund the other 20 agencies that fall underneath the Department of Homeland Security, and we're going to take the 2 agencies that they are most contentious about, and we're going to fund those for 3 years through reconciliation. So the time to negotiate is done. We tried to. They're not wanting to negotiate at this point. We're just going to continue going forward, enforcing the laws that Congress has in place, and make sure we're always holding up the Constitution of the United States.
Mark Wayne Mullen on the case there. With Mullen's unwavering stance on border enforcement laid out, his commitment to protecting every American state equally underscores the battle line against those who wish to defund homeland security. Here he is more. I don't care if you live in California or Florida.
Our ICE agents, in fact, all the Department of Homeland, what our goal is every single day, Joe, is to protect the homeland. I don't care if you live in California. I don't care if you live in Florida. I don't care if you live in New York or in Oklahoma. We look at all the states the same, not in color based on how you vote. It's protect the homeland. And what they are trying to do here, Joe, is defund the Department of Homeland. Now, that's like defunding the Department of War. Department of War takes care of everything off our shores. Department of Homeland takes care of our backyard, and it makes no sense to me.
No sense. None of it makes any sense. So I'm going to tell you, this is the moment of truth. Secretary Mullen laying it out crystal clarity. He doesn't care if they're in California, Florida, New York, Oklahoma. The Department of Homeland Security protects all Americans, not just the ones in states that vote the right way. No color-coded enforcement based on politics. Then he dropped the hammer. The time to negotiate is done. Democrats aren't asking for immigration reform. They want to defund ICE and the border. They want open borders, okay? They want arrest warrants. And they want sanctuary policies and illegally issued licenses. The Trump administration tried to cooperate. They extend the olive branch. Democrats slapped it away. So now there's only one path forward: enforce the law, cut the funding, make the examples. The rebellion ends now. Now let me be clear about what we're witnessing. It's not a policy debate. This is Democrat officials at the state and local level attempting to nullify federal law enforcement through warrants and sanctuary schemes and illegal licensing. And Trump's administration is responding exactly the way the American people elected them to respond, with consequences, with enforcement, with the full weight of federal authority. The DOJ needs to quash those Minnesota warrants today, open an obstruction investigation into Mary Moriarty, and make it loud and clear so that no prosecutor in this country ever tries this again. Share this video with everybody you know, because the media, they'll bury the story. And drop a comment and tell me, should federal agents be arrested for enforcing federal law? Yes or no? And since you made it to the end, text raw feed 844-840-4963. That's how we bypass the suppression of our content and get you the information directly to your phone from me to you. If you want to wear your support for Law & Order, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this. Share this now.